So you've heard that culture eats strategy for lunch. It's become popular for the last 10 years or so. But yet you're somehow struggling to build a culture that you really want to have, a culture where people are engaged, where they're passionate, and when they're really trying to connect with what you're trying to build and just be all out, love what they do, love who they work for, and just enjoy life. Well, if you want to unlock some of the secrets of culture, stick around, watch the video. We're going to tell you a little bit about some of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to build culture. Also, what culture really is, and how to get out of the idea of just looking at culture narrowly and really broaden your horizons and understand what it really takes to build the culture of your dreams. Hello, my name is Max Kozlovsky, and I've been helping companies grow for the last 20 years. I started out working for blue chip marketing companies, and for the last 12 years, I've been helping mid-size and small businesses develop organizational cultures, strategy, and execution that helps them grow, scale, and ultimately feel more fulfilled, contribute more to the community, and ultimately also make more money. So, my big philosophy is this: you've got to have a culture that combines, on one hand, that is people caring and purpose driven, and on the other hand, that is accountable and result oriented. Then when you have those two components meeting up, that's where high performance occurs. So how do we become a purpose driven and people caring organization? That's the subject for today. That's the big idea within culture. So let's talk about what culture is not and some of the biggest issues I see with culture. So the first one has to do with this idea that culture is just a few points of culture that go on some board, and everybody needs to remember, and then that's how you build culture. Well, that's only partially right, and it only plays a small component of it. So if you look back at organizational culture and kind of where it comes from, it really started out in Silicon Valley with these unicorns, right? These companies that beat the odds, grew exponentially, and contributed to the well-being of the community. And then a gentleman by the name of Jim Collins created a book called Built to Last, where he had the opportunity to compare some of the best companies in the industry to their second or biggest rival. And then he followed up with another book called Good to Great, and then further on, Great by Choice. And what they all had in common is this big idea that you needed a very powerful and strong organizational culture. And there were even a couple of exercises to really help you develop that culture. But again, a little bit narrow sight. So what is culture? What is organizational culture? Well, we got to start with the idea that you probably already know what culture is. You just have to look around. So if you think about who you are, where you come from, what you relate yourself to being, whether that is being an American, being a Christian, being a Jew, or being something else, right? There's a series of activities, actions, rituals, beliefs, values that you share in common. There's history and stories, and along with that comes food and celebration, in art, in music. So when you put all those things together and you are very intentional about building what that is and should be like, then you actually really start building a vibrant and alive culture. A few points that go up on the board, go up on the wall, are not really going to do the job that you need done in your organization. So we got to look broader. We got to understand what culture really is. And then the third part is you've got to understand that building culture is an action sport. It's not about sitting down and putting some ideas on paper and then kind of sending it off to people to see or study. It's about what we do day in and day out. It's the habits and practices that we organize around our celebrations, around our people, around our music, around our history, around our beliefs and our values that make the organization really come to life. So here's what I have for you. You have access to download one of our templates, which is called the Culture Building Blueprint. Culture Building Blueprint. And in this template, you're going to see all the different elements that make up culture and how to start figuring out what needs to be built and where to go and get the inspiration, creativity, or where to look for what your culture already is. So if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you want to download the sheet, give it a shot, and see kind of what comes out of that, right? I'm sure you're going to get a bunch of ideas and you're going to start understanding what components you're missing, and how to start implementing and executing on some of those ideas. On the other hand, if you want to make things go a little bit faster and a little bit better, you can join our free workshop, a free webinar workshop, where we're actually going to take you step by step through the different components that make up culture. And we're going to ask you a bunch of questions. We're going to give you a bunch of examples. And at the end of that workshop, you're going to have your blueprint. You're going to have the blueprint of understanding all the different components that your culture needs. You will have known where where you got it from. And you'll also figure out what are the pieces that you don't have that you need to figure out and you need to start building. And then equally as important, being intentional about the implementation. So you'll have a roadmap, you'll have the blueprint on one hand, and on the other part, we need to build the roadmap. And the roadmap is about the implementation of culture. It's about how we start working on that a step at a time. And as you probably know, we're also facing a big challenge, right? So we're living in a post-COVID world where the amount of human contact might not be the same as years before. So knowing what you need to build in your culture, in using the template to really help you develop your culture, you're going to find all the different opportunities where you can still build culture without necessarily having to be one-on-one with people. We're going to give you a bunch of ideas. We're going to give you a bunch of best practices, and we're going to help you get clear about the culture that you're going to need to scale and grow your business. And we're going to help you figure out the roadmap to start the implementation of it. So if you have any questions, you have any comments, our information is going to be below. Give us send us an email, send us a quick message. We'll be happy to help you. Download the tool, give it a shot if you want. Otherwise, sign up to the webinar workshop where we are going to help you one-on-one, and you're going to be in a trajectory to really develop the culture that you want. See you soon.